Hey Altcoin Buzz Army, this is Adam with Altcoin Buzz. Today we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency tech, right? The technology that drives this, and we're going to be talking about mass adoption. So regardless of what you see in the title, this is what I want you to think about. I want you to think about what it's going to take for people to mass adopt crypto, because that is where I'm coming from when I'm talking about these topics. And if you listen to my previous videos, I really like the technology that drives these. I like talking about it. And really, what's going to make it convenient for people to actually start using this? And not even just from us cryptocurrency enthusiasts, but the people that don't know about it, don't care to know, don't really want to learn, don't want their lives disrupted. I was just at a wedding this weekend, and we're catching up, and people are asking me what I do, and I was like, well, have you heard of Bitcoin? And people are like, a bit what? And people hadn't even heard of Bitcoin. And I was trying to explain what I do, like with this channel and with talking about cryptocurrencies. And I was like, it's kind of hard to explain to you what I do or what I'm talking about if you hadn't even heard about this. So had a lot of conversation with cryptocurrencies that is fun to have, but it's amazing to me how many people don't even know. And this is why I emphasize what I'm emphasizing, because for it to become massively adopted, it has to be convenient. And these are two cryptocurrencies we're going to talk about today with XRP and with ETN, Ripple and Electroneum. I'm going to talk about how this could impact the day-to-day person's life, right? Not just us, not from an investment standpoint, even though you definitely could probably view this as an investment standpoint also, but this isn't professional financial advice either. We're not even going to talk about finances, but the more you know and the more you do with it, right, you can be set up better. So let's kick it off. So we're going to start off by talking about Ripple and Apple, but right before that, we're going to redefine Apple. For those who are pretty new, or not Apple, we're going to redefine Ripple, right? Apple, if you don't know Apple, I'm not getting into that. We're talking about Ripple. So Ripple, more or less a global payment transfer system, right? So Ripple themselves is not a cryptocurrency. So like Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is just a cryptocurrency. There is no business behind it. We don't even know who created it. Just crypto. That is it. And many other cryptocurrencies are like that. Ripple is more of a technology company or a software company. They have products and services that they provide, and they also have a cryptocurrency. That's the big difference here. Now, what Ripple has, as what we're talking about right now, is RippleNet. And this is what they're expanding. So they have partnered with numerous banks and other cross-border payments like MoneyGram, for example, and they basically make it efficient, faster, and cheaper to send payments across the world. And the idea is for you to be able to send US dollars to Japan, easily convert it into yen, or send it to Europe and get it converted into euro, and really enhancing the financial structure. Which is also why you may have heard that Ripple's kind of the black sheep of the cryptocurrency family, because they're enhancing the current financial structure that many people do not want to see thrive. They want the new structure. They want cryptocurrency to take over. I'm not going to get into a philosophical talk about that. I do want to create a video with XRP and XLM and talk about the philosophy there. Not going to do that here. We're just talking about the tech behind it. So many partnerships have been made with Ripple using RippleNet, not XRP, the cryptocurrency. Okay, so and they have Xcurrent and Interledger protocol. And this Interledger protocol, you don't need to memorize this by any means, but this is the emphasis here. So as we go over here, so this is the announcement, or an announcement from Apple. We're pleased to announce that Safari for both macOS and iOS now support the W3C payment request API for conducting Apple Pay transactions on the web. If that went over your head, that's okay. What we're emphasizing here is Apple Pay, right? So if you're not familiar with Apple Pay, you can pay for things all over the place. As long as a vendor accepts Apple Pay, you can pay with your mobile phone, your Apple phone specifically. So this is the mass adoption key we're taking from this with the W3C payment request API. Now, you probably don't know what that means. That's fine. You don't need to know. But I'm just going to show you the steps and how I got to where I was. So W3C payment request API, if we click on that, brings us to here. Okay. Now, I do want to emphasize the editors here, right? Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Mozilla. I just want to emphasize how big this is, right? This is the reps from each of these companies, and obviously these are some of the biggest companies in the world. So just the importance of what's going on here. And we want to look at their GitHub. If you're not familiar with GitHub, the way I look at it is like a Twitter for techies, right? So if you're researching a cryptocurrency, you want a Twitter to have a good following, and you want to have a log of activity. In GitHub, you look at the project itself. You looked at the code, the programmers look at this, the developers. And the more activity you have, the more contributors you have, potentially the better the project, right? Not always true. Same with Twitter. Big following doesn't necessarily mean anything, but we can get a lot of good factual information from GitHub, which is why we go there. So come in here, right? So this is the Interledger payment. So the W3C up here is what I'm focusing on. W3C Github is where we're at. The Interledger payment editor, as you can see, is from Ripple, Adrian Hope. And if we scroll down to the introduction, the Interledger protocol, right, is what this is all about. So when you see announcements like this, right, you may not be tying Apple and Ripple together. You may not even know anything about this. There's been several articles, but this may not have been something on your radar at all. But that's because, it's more of a tech perspective. But more or less, the Apple Pay and Interledger protocol. That is what's going on here. That is the Apple and Ripple connection with this. So if you want to know about the Interledger protocol, I'll post a link. This is more of a detail about it for those fellow nerds out there that want to know. I'm not going to go over it because it's way too much detail. But why am I bringing this up? What is the importance here? And the importance here, again, is mass adoption. So Apple is now part of the Ripple net, in a sense, the Apple Pay, right? So we were talking about how the Ripple net, right, is what Ripple's all about. So what is important here is that as RippleNet is expanding, it allows for easy integration of XRP, their cryptocurrency. So in a sense, this is creating this huge network that if and when cryptocurrency is ready for mass adoption, Ripple's ready and XRP is ready to be implemented. And all the technical details, they might not be 100% ready to go live with everything, but they're pretty much going to be, and that's what their setup is. So Ripple's forming all these partnerships, preparing, it seems, for mass adoption for cryptocurrency. Now, how this changes things in my eyes, right? Before this, it was a lot about the banks, and that's where people were mad about because they're helping out the banks. And I didn't really see myself using XRP in a day-to-day. Like, I'll go over Electroneum in a second, but like Electroneum, given the mass adoption, I could potentially be paying Electroneum at a store, right? I need my landlord to start accepting cryptocurrency as payment, and Electroneum could have been that, just like Bitcoin could be that. I didn't know for sure, but XRP, I didn't really see myself using. Now with Apple Pay adopting Ripple, if Apple ever decides to start using cryptocurrency, who's their prime contender to go with? XRP seems to make the most sense. Now this is where this is starting to shift from the tech facts, right, to my opinion and how I see things. So not a lot of what I'm going to lay out is not factual. It's just I'm just showing you my perspective. So why is this important? Why is the potential for Apple adopting XRP important? Because it creates easy mass adoption. So when the regular average user for cryptocurrency isn't doing their research, isn't going to know what's going on, they're not going to do their research, right? What are they going to go with? Oh, Apple uses this, so yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Why would they trust anything else that it's not what they know? Why would they trust something they don't know? They're going to trust Apple, and Apple has almost like a cult-like following in a lot of sense, where people just believe in Apple and only buy Apple products. I'm an Android guy, right? I'm not anti-Apple necessarily, but that's just how it goes. So this could be huge for mass adoption, given that Apple decides to start using cryptocurrency, and given that they use XRP, right? So why does this impact Electroneum? So Electroneum, I made a more detailed video that talks about their patent and their updates, if you want to check that out. But there are two big things plaguing Electroneum right now. One is they have their mobile simulation miner and their mobile app, for Android, right? But as stated right here, we have the iPhone iOS version written and fully functional, but it has not been approved by Apple yet. So they're still waiting for Apple to approve their app. And coming over here, this is their patent. So if you're not familiar with their patent, I'll go over it briefly. It's a patent pending. Now, what that means in a legal perspective is it's still under review, so it could still get denied or approved, but they're allowed to disclose some of the information about what their patent is about, because if anybody steals it and their patent gets approved, those people are held legally liable for that now. So what is it? Instant cryptocurrency payments and cryptocurrency subscriptions. Those are the two things that they're trying to do here. Now, what they have is a centralized app and a decentralized blockchain. So in a nutshell, what this is the vendors can use this software to accept any fiat currency and any cryptocurrency. And it'll work similar to like a debit or credit card, where you can get approved or denied if you don't have enough in your wallet. And the big difference for the vendors, though, is not only can they accept all sorts of form of different payments, which could bring in more business, they would get the payment immediately, especially in the cryptocurrency sense, right? Electroneum would be transferred to them immediately, as opposed to if you go to a store now or pay for anything with a credit card or a debit card, a lot of times you have to wait several days for it to come into your bank account. You can use certain things like Square, but you pay more for percentage, for example, and you can get it quicker. But with this, they have this app where they're able to more or less accept the payments immediately. And of course, the users can use that to make payments. And they also have the subscription part. So with the subscription, vendors that offer a subscription can offer that in this software, in this app. So potentially you could say they partnered with Netflix. You could then pay Netflix with any cryptocurrency or any fiat currency. And it just matter of what they accepted. Right. So this is where Electroneum's headed. And this is why I think it's important to emphasize, because Electroneum's aiming for mass adoption and extreme convenience. But this is where things get tricky, because if you start to go over the obstacles, and this is for mass adoption, right? First thing that needs to happen for both, of course, is mass adoption needs to happen. And if it does, XRP or Ripple partners decide to use XRP. And if their partnerships right now, and as they keep growing, decide to just say, all right, we're going to use XRP, then I don't want to say it's game over, but it's just extremely convenient. The mass adoption for XRP will become, what's the term I'm looking for? More or less almost a no-brainer for a lot of people. A lot of people will start using it without even realizing it, especially in the form of Apple Pay, where it won't even disrupt their day-to-day life. They're going to just start using this cryptocurrency in another fashion. Now, how the value of cryptocurrency is going to be measured later down the road, is in question, of course. That is where, of course, mass adoption has a problem coming in. But we'll see how that plays out. With Electroneum, right, obviously they need mass adoption. Their Apple app still needs to get approved. Their patent pending, right, that could still get denied, so they have that obstacle in front of them. But then they have to have the vendors accept their software. So with Apple Pay is already accepted by tons of vendors. So a lot of vendors aren't even going to be changing anything. They've already have it established there. Whereas, whereas with Electroneum, they're going to have to convince vendors to use the software. And then not only that, they have Electroneum as their cryptocurrency, but that doesn't mean the vendors will accept Electroneum as a cryptocurrency. They could accept any other cryptocurrency or just fiat. So Electroneum could be successful in the launch of their software, but it doesn't mean they're successful as a cryptocurrency. And then, of course, the users have to use Electroneum as payment. Also a huge factor, right? And, oh, man, sorry. I'm in the Midwest, and I get allergies real bad. It's pretty annoying. But Electroneum, in my mind, has a lot more obstacles. And with XRP having Apple Pay, if that becomes a day-to-day thing, XRP just became a mobile cryptocurrency with this partnership, which is exactly what Electroneum is and what they're all about. meaning that this could create some button heads. This could create competition, right? Because it's a race for mass adoption. And at this point, Electroneum is behind the curve because XRP has the partnerships, in my opinion. Electroneum is everywhere when it comes to users. There's like tens and tens of thousands of users on the app. People are mining. Electroneum has formed partnerships of their own, but XRP, or Ripple, I should say, has the partnerships in place for huge institutions to adopt this, and they're growing, right? So that's more or less where I want to leave off and ask you all, like, what do you think about mass adoption? How do you think mass adoption is going to happen? Not in just promoting, the project you have, but in the actual day-to-day use. What will it take for a vendor to accept cryptocurrency, even as it has started to be accepted in society? When will things like Walmart or Amazon or even your local shops, when will they start accepting cryptocurrency as payment? And what's it going to take for them to trust it, right? Ripple partnering with Apple, in my mind, is more significant than just about anything, because if Apple decides to start using cryptocurrency, then the average person, the non-enthusiast, will start to trust it more, and more or less they're just trusting Apple, right? Whereas Electroneum's going from the opposite route and pushing it to the masses, but you have to basically convince a lot of vendors, almost one by one, to start accepting it and start using it. So it would be interesting to me to see how this plays out, and I think this created an interesting competition between the two, or could potentially, right? This is all potential. A lot of this is just my opinion and my viewpoint, but I am a crypto enthusiast, not just as an investment standpoint, but from the day-to-day use and the technology. And I'm going to be curious to see how this gets adopted, and I'm going to keep researching and seeing what it takes for adoption, and seeing who's going to be the one that creates the most convenience. And convenience comes with partnerships. And as far as Ripple goes, they're leading the way when it comes to partnerships. I think that's I don't think it's a competition at this point yet. But we'll see how things play out. So let me know your opinion. We'll see. Again, what do you want to pay with cryptocurrency? Not just what money do you want to make from it, but do you think you're going to be buying a house with Bitcoin? Do you think you're going to be buying a car with Ripple? Do you think you're going to be subscribing to Netflix with Electroneum? Who knows? And this is where my mind goes. So, again, as always, thanks for watching, especially if you lasted till the end. I know I can go on rambles here and there. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to Altcoin Buzz and hit the little enable notification that'll pop up there. And I will talk to you all soon. Thanks again. Take care.